Hi everybody and welcome to this week's assembly. By working together we have now completed 10 million lessons. A huge well done to you all. I can't wait to see how long it is before we've completed 20 million. The theme of this week's assembly is supporting each other. You might have seen the anti-racism protests that are going on around the world in the news. Thousands of people, including people here in the UK, have joined together to show support for the family of George Floyd, an African-American man whose death, whilst being held down by US police, started the protest. Importantly, people are joining together to also reject all forms of racism. This isn't an easy topic for us to talk about, but it's important that we do talk about it, either with your family or with your teachers. At Oak National Academy and in your school, everybody is welcome no matter who they are. I want everybody to be especially thoughtful this week and support those who deserve to be treated fairly. We all have a responsibility to be anti-racist.
Hello, I'm Mr. Wilson and I teach music here at Oak. Some of you will have been learning about World War II in your history lessons this term. Today, we're really lucky to be joined by a lady called Vera, who's going to tell you about her memories of that time when she moved to Britain. Before the outbreak of the Second World War in 1939, many people were trying to leave Europe, especially people who were Jewish. This is because the German government at the time treated the Jewish community very badly, creating laws that stopped them doing things that other people were allowed to, and in some cases imprisoning them. The Kindertransport was the largest organised response to this refugee crisis and allowed Jewish children to come to Britain without their parents who had to stay behind. Hearing from Vera today is really special and important. Vera is one of those children who came over to this country on her own. She is an eyewitness and she can tell us what happened to her and her family during the Second World War after they were separated.
During a 9-month period before the start of World War II, Britain allowed visas for Jewish children who were escaping Nazi Germany to rescue them from persecution. The children, aged between 5 years old and 17 years old, had to leave without their parents. They were rescued from Nazi Germany and other countries controlled by the Nazis as part of the Kindertransport mission. Vera, our guest today, was rescued from Czechoslovakia. She has kindly offered to answer some questions from pupils about that time.
My name is Vera Schaufeld and I'm 90 years old. I was born in Czechoslovakia, now the Czech Republic, and at the age of 9 I came to England on a Kindertransport, that's a children's transport, without any members of my family with me.
Can you tell me something about what made you happy as a child before the war?
I had a really loving family. I was an only child, but what made me really happy was when my 80-year-old grandmother left Germany and came to live with us in Czechoslovakia. I had no idea of the situation that had made this old lady leave her home and the language that she knew, but I was so pleased that she was with us.
Before you left Czechoslovakia, did your family give you any messages about how to remain hopeful about the future?
My mother met me outside the school one day and explained to me that they were unable to leave Czechoslovakia, but they were sending me to England, and that as soon as they could, they would try and send for me to come and join them. And I think this made me feel that I wasn't losing them forever, but soon we'd be together again.
Did you understand at the time what was happening or why your parents were worried?
I was aware that the German army had invaded Czechoslovakia because my family was sitting listening to the radio and I could see great fear. And then after 2 days, my father, who was leader of the Jewish community in our town, was arrested. And my mother and my grandmother kept me home from school until, again, he was released. When I went back to school, my friend said to me, when you were away, our teacher said that the Jews are always the first to run away when there's any trouble. I was devastated. I liked my teacher, and suddenly I'd stopped being Vera and I'd become the Jews. And I think this stayed with me all my life.
What does it mean to you to be resistant or resilient in times of uncertainty?
Well, as a child, I was sent by my guardians to an English boarding school. And there, though I had no letters anymore from home, it made such a difference that I made friends who, for the rest of my life, were able to be there and to replace, in some degree, the family that I'd lost.
Do you think that your experiences as a child made you more resilient as an adult?
I think that as a child, once my parents' letters stopped and I didn't hear from them for a long time, then I think it was harder. But as I've become an adult now, when I have to self-isolate, I think I've learned to really just to use the situation to develop new skills, find things that I never did before, and to realize that other people are even in a worse situation than I am, and we just all have to get on with it and hope that soon it'll be over and things will be better.
What do you normally do day to day when you don't have to talk to people on the internet?
Well, usually I was able, thanks to the Holocaust Education Trust, to visit a big variety of schools and organizations and be able to tell them what happened to me and encourage them to cope with whatever they're coping with at that moment. So it's a great privilege and pleasure to be able to speak to you, even though I can't do it in person.
Nearly 10,000 children like Vera came to Britain as part of the Kindertransport mission. The memories she has shared today are important in understanding the human stories of the Second World War.
Hi there, I'm Vicky, and I'm a specialist language and communication teacher here at Oak. Thank you all for sharing some of your amazing work with us. This week we've had poetry reading, fantastic artwork, and even some Spanish shared with us. We love to know you're enjoying learning with us. If you want your work to be shown in assembly, then get your parent or carer to share your work on social media and tag in #LearnWithOak.
First, I saw a log. 1. It turned into a dog. Next, I saw a hat. 2. It turned into a cat. Next, I saw a pen. Bang! It turned into a hen. Last, I saw a house. Bam! It turned into a mouse. Do you want to go for a swim together? Yeah! Swim, swim, swim. Then they went home.
Hi kids, did you have a great day?
Yeah, it was great. Here's the story of what happened. So we went to the ocean, we swam, then we met a shark.
Oh no!
But then Dolphin came, rescued us, and we had fun in the sea. And then we came back home.
Wasn't that fantastic? Do keep sharing your work with us if your parents are happy for you to, using the Learn with Oak hashtag. Next week we have an extra special guest joining us, so make sure you come back to find out who it is. Keep working hard and keep supporting each other.